Paladina Health. As with webinars, we're going to give everyone a few minutes we've got people joining. As with everything, we'll start about a minute or minute and a half into this. But welcome, and we'll get started shortly. Thank you. All right, hello again, everyone. Todd Carlson again with Snowflake. Still got a good number of people joining. We're going to give it another 30 seconds, I would say, and we'll get started. All right, so let's get started. So again, welcome wherever you're maybe joining us from around the world today to Driving Outcomes-Based Analytics with Snowflake Tableau, featuring our joint customer, Paladina Health. My name is Todd Crossland. I'm VP of Healthcare Strategy here at Snowflake. And I'd like to introduce you to my co-presenters. I have Connor Knowles, Senior Product Marketing Specialist at Tableau, and Jarred Campbell, Manager, Data and Business Intelligence at Paladina Health. Having been formerly the customer presenter in these types of webinars, we're going to get to the customer as quickly as we can. We know that's why the majority of you are here, is to listen to the experience of what Paladina Health has on both Snowflake and Tableau. So Connor, you can go ahead and say hello. Let everybody know you're out there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Todd. Hi, everybody. This is Connor Knowles from Tableau. I work on our product marketing team, specifically with our technology partners. So I'm working with our strategic partners like Snowflake to make sure that we really emphasize how we are better for customers, Tableau and Snowflake together. So really happy to be here and appreciate the introduction, Todd.
You bet. Jarred, real quick, intro.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jarred Campbell. I'm the Manager of Data and Business Intelligence at Paladina Health, heading up the entire analytical platform for the organization.
Great. All right. So let's get started. So we're going to kind of go in that order. I'll give a quick snapshot of Snowflake. Connor will jump in with a quick snapshot on Tableau, and then Jarred will finish us up. So we are recording this. Recordings will be made available to the attendees. After, you'll get that out in an email. And with everything, right, we want to hear your questions. We want to hear your comments and feedback. So you should have the ability to ask questions throughout. And please do ask them throughout. Don't wait as you're thinking of a question. Even if we end up answering it, we'll be curating the questions kind of as we go. So don't hesitate at all to ask a question, and we'll save some time at the end for that. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So we'll do the Snowflake presentation. So Snowflake, really quick, cloud data platform, and I'll dive into the specifics of that here shortly. But just some fun facts, kind of as we're growing as an organization. We're averaging over 300 million queries are being run every day on Snowflake. We are at over a petabyte compressed for our largest table. 200,000 tables in a database now, over 200,000. Our single largest customer has exceeded 20 petabytes total inside Snowflake, and that's compressed. And then now we have a customer that has over 10,000 users, all concurrent on Snowflake at the same time. So the concepts around concurrency and scalability, as we were born, back in 2012 and general availability in 2015, we've come a long way, and we're continuing to obviously grow. When you look at Snowflake as a platform, that is basically what we think of ourselves as a cloud data platform. Years ago, and we were born as something that was known as a data warehouse. But now, from a workload perspective, and as our customers are maturing on Snowflake, as you see a lot of data lake use cases, data engineering, doing a lot of transformations within Snowflake, and data applications are being built. Myself, as a former customer, built applications on top of Snowflake, and obviously a lot of data science workloads as well with a lot of our partners, and obviously visualizations and Tableau being a huge partner when it comes to visualizations. You'll notice there at the bottom that we have all three of the large public cloud providers available globally. We are cloud agnostic. We were born on AWS, made available on Azure in 2018, and then just recently, earlier this year, general availability on Google Cloud as well. McKesson being our flagship customer to take us live on Google Cloud in the healthcare space. Data sources, you can see all of those there, nothing surprising to those that are the audience in this call, as well as the data consumer mechanism, but recognize that we as a cloud data platform are serving up the many different needs across healthcare. I'll mention really quick, just to shout out from a data exchange perspective. I'm not going to have time to cover the public data exchange, but if you have a moment, go out and check out our public data exchange, especially if you're already, or even if you're not a Snowflake client. The COVID-19, we have a curated data set out there by our partner Star Schema as well, that has built out and made that readily available. So no FTP, no downloading those COVID-19 data sets every day. It's basically the live data sharing mechanism of Snowflake. So by all means, go check that out. So we're being used across the different subverticals and all across healthcare and life sciences. This is just to kind of show you a few of the different things that are going on from pharma, med device, digital health, payers, providers, you name it. We have customers across all these different subverticals. I want to take a moment just so you know from a product perspective kind of what Snowflake is doing specifically in the genomic space. Is that over the last year or so, we made a specific effort to ingest genomic data assets that come in VCF called variant call format. Starting last March, we ingested the 1,000 Genome Project, which kind of ironically is actually 2,500 human genomes, and ingested that in March. In June, we ingested 100,000 full exomes called in a GVCF format, and then most recently in December, and we've done many things since then, but one of our customers ingested the full NIH TopMed 140,000 genome data set, representing over 1 trillion data points. So recognize that for us, bring Snowflake and Tableau, your EHR data sets, your lab data sets, all those data sets, but also know that we're not stopping there. We're interested in pulling in any data asset that's needed across all healthcare and life sciences, and genomic is just where we're getting started. We're already headed towards some of the other omics as well. But with that, I'm going to stop now, and I think I held fairly good to my between 5 and 10 minutes. So I'm going to pass it on over to Connor with Tableau.
Perfect. Thank you, Todd. And I will also try to do the same. Todd and I are really excited to get to Jarred and hear about how things at Paladina are going and how they're using Tableau and Snowflake together. So quick sort of reintroduction. My name is Connor Knowles, and I'm privileged to represent Tableau today. I'm on our product marketing team at Tableau, and my role is to work closely with our strategic partners like Snowflake to tell that better together story. So how Tableau and Snowflake can work together to empower organizations, much like that of Paladina Health. Most importantly, my team and I, we work closely with experts at Snowflake to make sure that we as a partnership are staying ahead of the curve and are implementing solutions and integrations that adhere to your vital needs so that ultimately you can feel comfortable when it comes to your data strategy and where we're going and advancing with you. So a quick sort of overview of Tableau before we get to Jarred at Paladina. We are the world's leading analytics solution. Our mission is to help people see and understand data. Now, we were founded back in 2003, and ever since we've had this same mission statement. And we help people see and understand data. The people part of our mission has always been central to what's important to us. So this isn't just analysts or data scientists. We emphasize people because everybody uses Tableau. Before I worked at Tableau, I worked in collegiate athletics. So you can be a doctor, a professor, an executive, a student, nonprofit organizations, governments, etc. Everybody can use Tableau. The opportunity before us now is to continue to expand the number of people that are enabled with analytics, which is why I'm really excited about this story from Jarred, because it's just another great use case of how companies and organizations are doing that. So Tableau has become a mission-critical platform for many Fortune 500 corporations. We empower healthcare leaders and clinicians to make data-driven decisions to improve patient experience and care outcomes. And we also partner with innovative and leading healthcare organizations such as Providence Health and Services, Cigna, Front Health, Intermountain Healthcare, and Seattle Cancer Care Alliance, just to name a few. And we do this really by trying to emphasize that data-driven culture. This is how we believe we help reach more people, is with our analytics that people enjoy and love to use. And then scalability and being able to grow with you is very important. We want to help organizations scale analytics with an integrated platform that meets the needs of even the largest global organizations. And then we help our customers manage the change required to becoming a data-driven organization as the trusted leader in analytics. So these are just some areas where we feel Tableau is uniquely able to help organizations become more data-driven. And last slide before we sort of kick it over to the main event. Initially, Tableau, we started off as a desktop analytics tool, but we are a lot more than that now. When you bring together Tableau Server, Tableau Online, web authoring capabilities, Tableau Prep, embedded Ask Data, a lot of the other great things that you might be working on with Tableau, we deliver the breadth and depth of capabilities that our customers need for that end-to-end analytics experience. And we understand that data is a mission-critical asset to your organization, which is why we've built the Tableau platform to ensure you have everything you need to empower everyone with data without putting your data or your organization at risk. So this includes capabilities that ensure the right data is made accessible with flexible data access and powerful data prep capabilities, solid content and data governance features that keeps data in the right hands. And it also ensures that users can find the right data and are making decisions based on accurate and trusted data. So all these capabilities surrounded by the right security protocols, being able to access Tableau via the desktop, the browser, mobile device, or even embedding into other applications. And then maintaining that scalability to really meet the needs of your business. And lastly, as we have grown the Tableau platform, we've always emphasized the importance of our best-in-class partners like Snowflake, the ability for us to fit in along with these other technologies that you might be using. So Tableau is a very significant piece to the puzzle, but we know that we need to fit in with other pieces like Snowflake in order to be the best experience possible for all of our customers. So that's why I'm really excited to take a step back, listen to Jarred from Paladina Health as we learn more about how exactly Tableau and Snowflake brought value to him and his team in their analytics journey. So thanks for giving me a couple of minutes, and I will let Jarred take over.
And thanks, Connor. So yeah, just to recap, so I'm Jarred Campbell. I'm the manager of data and business intelligence at Paladina Health. I joined the organization in August of last year. My experience working with Snowflake, I've been working with Snowflake for over the last 3 years, and I am a Snowflake core certified professional. So I'll get started with who is Paladina? So we are headquartered in Denver, Colorado. We have clinics in 18 states covering over 180,000 enrolled patients. We have over 140 clients ranging from employers, unions, school districts, governments, and health plans. We focus on, you can summarize our focus on 3 areas: convenience, quality, and cost. So our clinics are located close to employer and residential areas. Our members can realize 0 wait times, longer appointments or visits with their provider, and also direct access to their provider. We have a holistic vision on care, providing primary care, behavioral, physio, dental, and vision services. We take a proactive and predictive approach, leveraging our clinical information coming out of our EMRs, along with claims information that is provided to us from our clients for the enrolled population within our program. We utilize aggregated information for both internal and external client reporting capabilities. And we are also leveraging technology to help redefine the definition of engagement. So being a direct primary care provider, we want to be able to take a proactive approach when we are rendering services to our member population. So why Snowflake? Upon arriving at Paladina, we did an environment assessment of the current architecture and then also our planned migration of infrastructure to AWS. At that time, we felt that there was a need to make a change. The existing reporting platform that was utilizing our current stack, which was SQL Server, SAS, and Spotfire. It was not built in a scalable manner. So with the plans to centralize all of our systems, including those from a company that we had purchased prior to my arrival, we decided the best approach would be just to start from scratch. So we conducted side-by-side proof of concepts, leveraging similar integration strategies, which included Redshift and Aurora, which are natively available within AWS as database engines. One thing that I had to take into consideration is that I lacked an experienced DBA on my team. So I needed to make sure that the platform that we were choosing, my team would be able to focus on delivery of the reporting capabilities that the organization is asking for, instead of platform maintenance and platform expansion as we continue to grow. So with Snowflake, it auto scales as we grow. There is no need for my team to manage the environment besides security and the objects that we create. This more or less eliminates the need for me to have a DBA on my team to manage a physical environment. So Snowflake provides, the ability to automatically profile our data sets and our queries at runtime to ensure that when they're storing this information, it will be able to be quickly retrieved when we call upon it the next time via query. So we started and completed a proof of concept around all of our member engagement and appointments, and this was within a matter of 4 hours. So I was able to go through and ingest raw Salesforce data. Now, when I say raw, Salesforce is more or less normalized, so it was a very clean system to pull from. But I was able to pull that and load that into Snowflake, profile the data sets that I had ingested, identify my required elements, and create a working dashboard within Tableau, again, within the matter of 4 hours. So, and then using our existing stack, I forecasted this would have taken up to possibly 3 business days for me to complete start to finish. And we also conducted performance testing, and these numbers kind of spoke, volumes as to Snowflake's performance. Is when we were conducting side by side with Snowflake versus our existing database engine, which was SQL Server, using these exact same data set from Johns Hopkins University that we had about 7.7 million records available to us, and this is all aggregated claims information. We were able to realize that Snowflake could provide us the performance that we would need to churn through some of our large data sets. So if I listed the metrics that we used as well. So like our instance was an R5 2XL, which is a pretty good size instance for SQL Server. It took over 22 minutes for the first execution and the second execution of the exact same query, which was just bring me all records. Now, when I executed the exact same query in Snowflake, it took 39 seconds for that initial query. And the second time I ran it took 140 milliseconds. That's uncomparable. So if I'm looking to leverage a platform where I have a large amount of data that I need to profile and churn through, Snowflake was the clear winner in this point. And then also based on the maintenance or their lack thereof, along with the performance, Snowflake was the clear winner. And so we decided that for our organization to move forward and to thrive, Snowflake would be the best platform for us to go forward with. Why Tableau? So as we're going through and building our new analytical platform, I wanted to be able to ensure that my team would be able to quickly deliver insights to the organization. And with Tableau and Snowflake, they natively talk to each other. I mean, once it's all it is just a JDBC connector, and then you're able to leverage the connection live between Tableau and Snowflake. And with the sheer performance of Snowflake, my team is able to provide near real-time information to our end users. With large data sets, there is sometimes a need to create extracts or cache the data prior to actually executing that dashboard on top of it. With Snowflake, we don't have to do that. The first query may take a little bit longer to execute if it's building that cache for that 24-hour period. But the subsequent queries that follow, as long as that underlying data does not change, that response will be extremely quick. Also, the platform is readily available to the public. So you can go out there, you can download Tableau, have it on your personal laptop. So what this does is it creates a large user base and a very rich talent pool. And it was critical that I would be able to identify and onboard the resources that I would need to provide us to deliver quickly. So there are a number of experienced professionals that are out there in the market and that I was able to bring on to the team. Now, from a cost management standpoint, we are a smaller organization, so we may not have the budget of a Fortune 100 company that we've previously been at. So we want to be able to make sure that the platform that we chose, we would be able to manage our costs, but then also allow us the flexibility to grow as our user base grows. And Tableau allows us to do that. And also from a maintenance and configuration standpoint, I personally did our entire configuration and stand-up within a day. And then also we've executed 3 upgrades since we've initially rolled this out in December. So we are on the latest version of Tableau, and I can say the upgrade process is more or less seamless. So taking those into consideration and some of the other BI tools that I had worked with in the past, I felt that for my team and the organization to thrive, Tableau was the right choice for us to move forward with from a BI standpoint. Then also, what are we looking to deliver within this analytical platform? So we're looking to provide insights around, if I bucket them into 4 areas, provider, our population, cost, and then operations. So for provider, we're looking to provide insights into our preventative and chronic care management for our members. We capture 17 measures across the entire population to outline a quality care guide that we're looking for our providers to meet. And then also we share this information with our clients. And then we also want to take a proactive approach to addressing member health plans or member health illnesses to ensure that we are being ahead of any type of disease management that would need to take place to ensure that we are having a positive impact on that individual's overall health. And then our clients, they want to understand, how are my members or my employees leveraging this platform? So provide engagement and utilization information to show them that they are, these are the employees that are joining the program, that are utilizing our clinics and interacting with our providers. We provide also risk stratification across the entire population that we receive claims information on. So we were able to also provide that information back to the employer as well. And the big thing is, acute and chronic disease management. Chronic disease can be a large cost for an organization. And so we want to be able to provide that information as to how are we improving the overall health of our members that will in turn provide lower healthcare costs. And then moving on to cost, leveraging our claims information that we receive for our enrolled members, but also some of our clients provide control groups as well, so we can showcase the overall cost savings or cost difference that they are realizing with the members that are enrolled with our platform. And then also identify areas of where we can mitigate costs, such as pushing a generic versus a brand or specialty drug. And then also avoidable ER and urgent care visits. Now, this is something that could be handled within our clinics and by a primary care provider, we want to be able to outline with our members that they can come to us, for their primary care needs and avoid those expensive ER or urgent care visits. And also provide segmentation on the population based on utilization, and then their overall medical cost. And then from an operations standpoint, we want to make sure that we're maintaining a healthy patient to provider ratio, so our providers aren't feeling overwhelmed as we're taking a more quality care approach, as we're not fee for service. So we want to be able to highlight that our members are having more time with our providers and ensuring that our providers aren't feeling overwhelmed. Insights into our clinic operational measures, so managing our member to clinic ratio. If we are having a lot of traffic through a single location, we may want to look to expand to incorporate a new clinic in that vicinity to help mediate some of that traffic. And also then provide NPS scores and also forecasting and trends. And this is provided at the provider, the client, and the clinic level. So within AWS, we're leveraging the native tech stack for some of our processing. So we're utilizing S3, Lambda, and SQS. Then also from an integration standpoint, we have kind of shifted away from the legacy integration tools such as Informatica, SSIS, DataStage. And I've decided that we could go with something that is going to be a lower cost, but also provide the same amount of value that we would receive from those other platforms. So we are leveraging Matillion for all data ingestion into Snowflake. And as we're going through all three of our phases, which is our stage, our integration, and dimensional databases. But then also we're leveraging stream sets as we're taking information out of Snowflake to push to our downstream consumers, one of which is Salesforce. So in 2019, we were able to complete that migration to AWS. And so now, since we're up in AWS, we were able to leverage these native technologies. So we replaced our legacy SFTP server with S3 storage. We're able to then utilize event-based triggers utilizing SQS to fire off a Lambda job. And I would create a message off of an S3 put request. That we are creating a centralized data lake within S3. So all object-based storage is going to be stored and archived in an organized fashion. So then if we ever need to go back and say rebuild something, we have the ability to do so, and everything is categorized. And we are using Lambda to maintain that automatically. And we are able to, within AWS, quickly deploy stream sets to allow for us to integrate Snowflake and Salesforce together utilizing integration pipelines. So the goal with Snowflake is to become our centralized data hub. So we have a number of sources that we receive information on a daily basis. Two of which is we have our EMRs. We leverage eClinicalWorks and NextGen. So typically with a medical company, you're going to have one EMR to work with. A big one is known as Epic. Here since we have two companies, we have two separate EMRs. So instead of having segregated reporting, we wanted to centralize all that into a single location. And by having Snowflake, we're able to bring these large data sets together and combine them to create a single view. We're leveraging Salesforce Health Cloud as our member management platform. And also from a member services and outreach, we leverage all the information that is available within Salesforce, when we're also pushing that into Snowflake. MD scripts for all of our prescription fulfillment, Rubicon MD for our provider referrals. We're looking to incorporate Open FDA for all FDA-approved drug information to supplement our existing RX platform. And then we receive, on a recurring basis, claims and census and eligibility files from our clients. And all of these will be ingested into Snowflake. And then lastly, one of the key values that we are able to take with our claims and pull together with Johns Hopkins ACG is to establish risk stratification. And again, all of these will reside within Snowflake. So if I were to take a look at our 10,000-foot view from an architecture standpoint, we have our inbound sources, which are going to be S3 bucket, potentially our legacy SQL Server database, and then maybe a NoSQL or an API. We will be pulling those into our centralized data lake storage within AWS, and then pushing it into Snowflake. Now, once it is in Snowflake, that's when we're able to go through and create if you were to think of it from a data warehousing standpoint, you have your stage, that we have our centralized integration layer, and then our dimensional layer, which will include our DIMs and our facts. Now we're leveraging Snowflake to go through and do all of the heavy lifting for us. So as we're going from stage to integration, integration is always current point in time. So we are doing all of our aggregation as we move from stage to integration. So this allows us to utilize our centralized data, our centralized data hub or the integration layer, to also push out of Snowflake. This would be when we're pushing to a Salesforce or any other type of third-party application or outbound client information. We'd be utilizing out of this central data hub. And then from a reporting standpoint, Tableau is going to sit on top of our dimensional layer. So this allows for us to have a single platform for all of our data delivery and reporting needs. So going in a little bit more detail as to the AWS technology that we're leveraging here at Palladina, we are leveraging S3 for, like I outlined, our SFTP buckets, and then our enterprise data lake. So as our clients they feel that they and look like they're interacting with an SFTP server, behind the scenes, realistically, it's an S3 bucket. So from there, we are able to leverage AWS and the low cost of object-based storage from a client inbound and outbound file standpoint, but then also from our enterprise data lake. Anything that is sent to us from clients will be categorized and placed into our data lake, and also processed by our EELT tool, Matillion. Lambda, we're utilizing Lambda to fire off a Python script that will move S3 objects between buckets and also automatically manage our data lake storage structure. So as a user goes in and places an object out there in an S3 bucket, it will in turn create an event, which will go through and be sent to SQS. That SQS queue is then going to trigger this Lambda event to go through and manage that object. So if it's an inbound, it'll move it over to our processing location, and if it's already been processed, it'll then move it over to our structured archive area. And then for event-based messaging, so we're leveraging SQS just so nothing gets lost. So if we have a message and if we have some type of outage, it's there in the queue waiting to be processed. So then it will be able to then trigger the downstream processes or will leverage that information to kick something off, whether it's a Lambda function, but we're also leveraging SQS to trigger our Matillion jobs as well. So again, if we're executing Lambda to run a Python script to move something from our SFTP bucket to our data lake bucket, and then also once the file is processed, move it over to its final resting place, so to speak. And then Matillion, we're able to go through and trigger orchestration jobs based off of the files arriving or an upstream process finishing. So ELT and Snowflake. So realistically, when you take your data and you move it into Snowflake, it's no longer ETL. You're switching gears and it's ELT. The data stays in Snowflake. It's not leaving the platform. If you were utilizing Informatica, Talend, what they're utilizing are transient stages, objects that will exist for that specific session. And Matillion does the exact same thing. So from a cost standpoint, it made sense to me that we'll go with Matillion because it provides the exact same functionality that some of the big players have. So from an integration standpoint, I really wanted to make sure that from my team, because there's only 5 of us that were initially utilizing this platform, that there was a very small learning curve. It has the visual look and feel as we're going through and working through each one of our phases within Snowflake. We're able to see what it's doing behind the scenes, understand the SnowSQL that it's generating, be able to troubleshoot if needed. But then also, as we're going through and doing our data profiling within Snowflake, we're able to more or less take that groundwork that we've already done and apply it within Matillion. So and majority of my team members, they'd not ever used an ETL tool, or if they had, it's very limited. So the platform has allowed for my team to become more or less empowered when it comes to data processing. So we're able to utilize this to trigger events off of SQS messages. We're able to quickly take our legacy database objects that still reside within SQL Server as we're still going through that conversion from our legacy stack to our future state design, and we're able to replicate those into Snowflake. So if I'm trying to go through and profile data sets in my SQL Server platform, the example that I had used, it took me over 22 minutes to go through my Johns Hopkins University data. Well, within Snowflake, I can just take that raw output, put it into a Snowflake object, and then do my profiling there. So it enables my team to provide faster time to market when it comes to not only dashboards, but also questions that are being presented to us from across the organization. We're able to manage our Matillion overall cost because it's based off of the actual instance that you have. So you have a concept of a small, medium, and a large. So based on the user capacity, I'm able to either scale up if I need to be able to have more users access the Matillion platform from a development standpoint, which I'm having to do right now as we are actively working through a very aggressive development timeline to convert all of our legacy processes over to Snowflake and Tableau. I'm able to ensure that everyone has the resources that they need to be successful, but then also when that time comes to an end, I can scale it down. Because realistically, behind the scenes, it's based off of the Snowflake configuration. The size of my warehouse is where I'm going to really get the performance out of the data processing. And I'm also able to leverage reusable processes that we've created to ingest all of our raw data sets. Okay, and lastly, I'll touch on why Tableau. What is it providing to the organization? So again, I have a small team. I only have 5 individuals that we're able to go through and leverage, and I can't just allocate everyone to creating dashboards. So at times that brings me down to maybe 1 or 2 resources. Then also we need to move to a centralized reporting platform. So from a end user standpoint, I wanted to make sure that as we're going through and providing these dashboards, that also I can quickly leverage the ability to quickly deploy dashboards for end user validation. So I'm working very closely with our operations and clinical teams as we're going through and creating these new dashboards to ensure that what we're capturing is the right story we're trying to tell. So we're looking to, so with Tableau, it's, I'm able to provide that desktop feel, but then also the ability to go through and quickly render it for the mobile device platform. Now, I have a couple users that once we were able to showcase that, hey, this is available on your phone, the buy-in, increased. So they'll have this information will be readily available whether they're at their desk or not. And then also with Tableau and Snowflake, I'm actually able to look into my Snowflake utilization, leveraging Tableau to ensure that from a cost management standpoint, I'm able to stay within the confines of my budget. So based off the capacity agreement, I want to ensure that I'm not overusing the platform to where I maybe have to expand my contractual obligation to increase spend. So I'm able to see and have insight at real time into how my team is leveraging Snowflake, the user adoption, the number of queries, the queries that maybe are taking longer than they should, and that's all information that's being provided to me from Tableau. And then also, as Todd touched on earlier, we signed up for that data share. I was doing exactly what he had outlined. I was going to GitHub. I was scraping the Johns Hopkins University data set, and we were looking to overlay that with our clinical information from our EMRs. I no longer have to do that because I was able to sign up and subscribe to the data share from Star Schema that provides all that information to me on a daily basis. And that feature in itself allows it to where my team can focus more on delivering solutions within Snowflake and Tableau instead of focusing on the actual ingestion of new data sets. So that is from my standpoint, I feel that we are set up for success now that we are now leveraging Snowflake and Tableau together for our analytical needs. And I will stop there.
Great. Thank you, Jarred, very much. And we do have several questions that have come in, and so I'll ask these verbally out loud for you, and I think the majority of them are for you, not surprisingly. So first one, can you provide an example of aggregated data providing insight at the clinical level that provided for better quality care and cost containment? It's kind of a long question, but if you can maybe take a stab at that, or oh, Jarred, did we lose you?
Nope, just talking on mute over here. Yeah, so no, it's a good question. So for the aggregated data, we have the ability to leverage both clinical and claims. So as you're looking through some of the data sets that we want to provide insights into is, if we were to look at, say, diabetes, it would be, one chronic condition. So as we have individuals that are, identified as diabetic, then they kind of fall into a different care management bucket. So historically, as we are able to leverage, all of their past results within our EMR, we're able to go through and aggregate potentially, the plan that our provider is using, is it help mitigating that disease? So are we able to not only abide by, say, HEDIS standards from a diabetes care standpoint, but are we able to also outline to the employee and to the employer that we are actually kind of wrangling in that diagnosis, that disease that they have? I think that would, so that's just one example of, leveraging the clinical and claims information at an aggregated level.
Cool. Let me give you another one here. And this is always tough. Is there anything particular as far as Matillion versus AWS Glue that made you kind of go with Matillion over Glue? So
with Glue, it's to be honest, you have to be good at coding. So it's going to take a higher learning curve when it comes to data ingestion. And so that's kind of why we went with Matillion versus AWS Glue. I actually outlined initially when we were conducting our proof of concept that, we could give this a shot. However, then looking at my team's overall skill set and then the overhead that this would be creating, it just didn't make sense for us to go down that route for our use case.
Great. Really quick one, and I can help. I mean, which edition of Snowflake are you using? It is obviously the business critical edition for HIPAA compliance and those types of reasons. I think that one's pretty straightforward. We got that one. Are you using Snowpipe?
Currently, no, we are not using Snowpipe.
Okay. And let's see. Let me go back down. Yeah, the one from, how did you use the integration layer? Understand that's your aggregate layer, not sure how it was used, which tools consume the data at the integration or aggregate layer? I can see that question on there.
Yeah, so the integration layer is designed to be that central data hub. So it's not intended to be, just to feed one system. The idea is that we will bring everything together, understand the overall data, the business need for this information as it's being ingested into our platform, and then who is the downstream consumer. So our data warehouse is one, so that's the dimensional layer. Salesforce is another. So as we're going through the steps to push this information out, we want to make sure that it's a single source of truth that is being provided to our downstream systems. So that is that's how we use our integration layer. And it is aggregated to some degree, but again, the idea is that the aggregated layer is going to be your data warehouse. And then from the tools to say, push that information out, we're looking at potentially, leveraging the API gateway once we do an unload into S3 to where be able to then send that information to a third-party application outside of just Salesforce.
Got it. Cool. And a few people asking quite a number of questions, just so you know, I'm trying to kind of move it around. So there's several questions about, what's the pricing model of Snowflake and kind of what is your, I don't think I would ask you to answer what is your monthly bill from Snowflake, but let me just kind of give you I can take that from pricing for Snowflake is basically in two categories. One is storage. We have a flat rate for average monthly storage, and that's compressed. And then it's your compute. And really your compute is billed by the second. You purchase it in hourly credit chunks, and then depends on the size of the virtual compute warehouse that you're using. Obviously, the size goes up linearly, but basically, it's done whereby our customers, you can be an on-demand customer and get a retail rate, and then you can negotiate with us what's called a capacity deal to pre-buy credits, which then you can burn down over any period of time. Myself as a customer, and I'm sure you can, Jarred, you can relate to this. It's really, you can use Snowflake to determine how much Snowflake will cost. And I was going to ask you, and this is something that I dealt with. What's your I always get asked the question: is cloud in general, less expensive, equal, or more expensive than on-premise? And the answer to that I always say is yes. And so, can you speak a little bit to how do you and your team manage the cost? How do you manage the cost? Not necessarily how much does it cost, right? But how do you manage that cost of Snowflake and make sure it doesn't get out of hand?
Yeah, so one way to be informed is to make sure that you're not overspending is that when you're going through and configuring your environment, say your warehouse from your compute, you can put in place measures to ensure that it automatically turns off it's not being used. Because from a billing standpoint, whenever that warehouse is running, you're being charged for it. So you don't want to be having things up and running if they're not being leveraged. So if you take during your configuration, if you outline, hey, for my initial development, I want to make sure that I'm using an extra small warehouse just to start playing with it. And again, that's just a single node, so I think it's 8-core 24 gig RAM that you're leveraging from a Snowflake standpoint to process that information. Now, as you decide that, hey, I need improved performance, or I need this thing to finish faster, you can go through and scale it up, but understand that there is an additional cost with that. As you scale up, and again, it's by multiples of 2. So if I were to go from extra small to small, I went from 1 to 2. Now, for our Tableau environment, we use a large warehouse. So we're able to go through and provide quicker results back to our end users. But from a development standpoint, I don't need that same scale. I don't need that same size. I'm not as concerned about performance within my development environment, just as if you're on within an on-prem or within a EC2 instance when you're having, say, SQL Server. You're not going to have a robust development server. You'd rather save that cost for your production environment. So you're able to go through and see this as the associated cost, and I'm using Tableau, to be honest, because they have a prepackaged workbook that you can go through and configure to point to your Snowflake instance and then capture that information. So as long as you know how much you're paying per credit hour, you're able to then forecast and see near real time what your forecasted spend and your actual spend is.
No, that's great. All right. This one came in, but it's a great question, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it. You may not have even seen it yet. So what pushed you to go for a cloud-based warehouse with all the compliance you have to meet from a healthcare point of view and all the risk associated with it? So the big question, right? So you chose, why did you go, what pushed you to go for it as far as going cloud versus, and all the risk that's associated with doing that?
Yeah, so one thing with the platform that we're on, or the version of Snowflake we're on, it is HIPAA compliant. So then it comes down to user and security management at that point. So we have we make sure that we have the environment locked down, that information is not readily available to all of our users that have access to this. And so we definitely take a proactive approach to ensure that we are staying in compliance from a PHI and PII standpoint. So, and again, since I know that Snowflake is HIPAA compliant, meaning that it's data encrypted at rest, that alleviates one of the concerns. Whereas I don't have to manage from an infrastructure standpoint to ensure that the data within the platform is secure. I already know it is.
Right, and I can kind of, having been in your position, and I have a unique perspective, having been the first customer on Snowflake to put PHI and bring Snowflake into HIPAA compliance. And this wasn't, just so everyone knows, this is 2016. So, Snowflake has been HIPAA compliant since very early 2016. So this is not something new, but also just to say that it's secure by design. And that's something that you always hear, about building applications in financial services, in healthcare and life sciences, that you have to make sure that your products, and you look at what all of our public cloud providers do, and their HIPAA compliance were built in their ecosystems, and we have to be that HIPAA compliant as well. And so it's something that we and Tableau, I know, takes very, very seriously around protecting healthcare data. And, for asking those questions, we're obviously happy to have offline conversations to help with that even more. Right. I helped answer that, so I might, if you saw one, Jarred, you want to answer, or Connor as well. I'm hunting around now since I got pulled in. I pulled myself into that one.
No worries. Let's see. So the question: do we have standing BAAs with our healthcare companies? Yes, we do have standing NDA and BAA agreements with the clients that we partner with, and that allows us for that data exchange to take place.
Great. So that one. Oh, are you doing any de-identification? Are you doing any tokenization de-identification?
Yes. So for all PHI data within our development area, we go through and scrub it all. So we are leveraging, production data. However, as we're moving it into our development area, we are scrubbing it to ensure that no PHI or PII is available. As we're going through and working through these measures. Realistically, from a measure standpoint, we are more concerned about the results from it being accurate as we're going through our development life cycle. And then the idea is that we want to make sure that, as our results are validated and vetted by the business, then we'll go through and then enable some of that information to be exposed, again, only to parties that have the need and the level of access, for that information.
Great. And I'm going to switch gears on you and ask you a business question, but it's relevant because of data, and I think it's a great question. So it's, as providers, are you taking on risk? Do you have a risk-based model with your clients? And are you using data to assist in that risk-based analysis? Sorry. In other words, I think it's more of the, and I'll bring up our friend, more of from a Kaiser model, from an outcomes-based versus a fee-for-service based.
Oh, yeah. So we are out.
If you're able to share, right, from a model perspective.
Yeah. So from a model perspective, we are quality based off of quality measures. So we kind of share that risk with our clients, and our contracts show that. So that as we started a new contract cycle with a client, then we will work through to ensure that as we're kind of coming to that agreement, that we are ensuring that we're focused on providing that high level of care for their target, for their population. And if we're unable to achieve that, then it is baked into the contract that there may be stipulations around not meeting those certain criteria.
Great. Cool. Very good. I think we got a few more minutes. And this is one, how do you sync your Snowflake data to Salesforce? I think you talked about that a little bit, but I want to kind of jump on that as well. And I think it's really something I'm a big believer in. People think about, as data going down a one-way street, right? It's collected via some mechanism, web application, whatever that is. It goes through ELT or ETL. It goes into a data warehouse, and then it's consumed in Tableau and data science tools. And what I try to encourage people to recognize is that data is a loop, right? You should think of that, and what you're doing, right, is you're taking data, you're generating insight, and then pushing the results of those insight. And I did this from an adherence data perspective, is that you're pushing that data from Snowflake into Salesforce. And can you talk about how you sync? I think just maybe repeat or talk about, the data sitting in Snowflake. What is that trigger mechanism that you're using to trigger the data update back into Salesforce? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So to actually send the data from Snowflake to Salesforce, we are leveraging stream sets. So just utilizing it from an origin standpoint, I don't know if you've used stream sets before, but it's another open source tool. So you're able to go through and leverage the JDBC connection, identify your Snowflake source object. You can do, and we're conducting incremental loads. And so it's all going to be CDC based. So as we're going through and identifying the records that need to be pushed to Salesforce, we're going through and applying inserting these rows into a processing table that then stream sets is sitting on, sitting there monitoring, and then it's a continuous pipeline. So it is constant integration between Snowflake and Salesforce, and then we're just conducting upserts. So one of the use cases, we want to take some information around some of the clinical measures that we have for our patients, and we want to make it available for some of our end users within Salesforce to be able to leverage. So then they can leverage that operational platform that they've already they are already using to have the insight available, directly at their fingertips, because they're using that platform on a daily basis.
Awesome. And then we need to clarify. Yeah, there was a question about the BAA, and so the question was for Snowflake. For us, absolutely, we have BAAs with every one of our clients that are obviously utilizing PHI data and in the healthcare space. So, absolutely. All right. Okay. There's a few others. We're running low on time. So there's an interesting question. Will DBAs be required in the future? And I think it's an interesting. I think everyone can chime in on this. It's what I did is my DBAs, they became database engineers. And I think what I'm saying there is when you're utilizing something like Snowflake as a service, is that the concept of running stats on an Oracle database, of applying patches and of keeping it up to date, that's one of the big things that Snowflake delivered as a service provides, is that you're not having to do that. Now, however, and knowing I've worked with a lot of phenomenal DBAs in my time, is that what they did is they just moved closer to our customer. Whether that's an internal customer or an external customer, it allowed them to be more part of the data pipeline and building value out of the data instead of just administering the database. So, Jarred or Connor, if you guys want to add to that in any way.
Yeah, I would say there's still a role to be played there. I mean, they have a wealth of information around tuning these legacy platforms. But to Todd's point, I think if it shifts more over to data engineering or the underlying design or infrastructure that may be leading into Snowflake.
Great. All right. Okay, so I think we are coming up on the top of the hour here. I know there's other questions that we didn't get answered, but feel free to reach out to any of these gentlemen. I know LinkedIn's out there, works really well, but I wanted to thank Connor and Jarred very much, for doing this with us. Any closing comments let's do Connor?
Yeah, I'll just kind of echo what we've come across today from all sides. Is just really happy to have Jarred get on and kind of tell his story of Tableau and Snowflake. And Todd, thanks for having Tableau a part of this.
You bet. Yeah. And then Jarred?
I'll say that this architecture is achievable, no matter the size of the organization that you work with, or even the size of the team. When I initially started at Palladino, I had a team size of 2 individuals that we were going through, and as part of the planning, we had already outlined that by the time the rest of the team the team members were brought on, we'd already had the plan that we were moving with Snowflake and Tableau. And so and then also I know that the cloud can seem scary, but as long as you take the proper measures to ensure that you're keeping yourself and the organization safe, there's a lot of tools out there that you can leverage to not only improve performance, but also just kind of explore new architectural designs that maybe weren't available previously.
Great. And with that, thank you to you both, and thank you everyone. And in the comment of staying safe, I think that would be fair to say in this environment for everybody. Wish everyone the best and stay safe. Thank you all very much for joining.